Okay, so interestingly enough, I forgot to turn on the microphone for my computer when I recorded this. So I'm about to be doing the audio recording over. So I am telling you right now that I have already completed my base makeup, my foundation makeup, and that I chose a foundation color that's a little bit lighter than my regular face cover color because when you get older, your face kind of like loses some color. So you want to make sure you have your base makeup, your foundation on just like when we did the straight makeup. So then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for areas of your face to shade. And we're going to start the same way that we started the straight makeup, which is by shading in the area under our cheeks. As we get older, our faces start to lose that like more youthful roundness. So this time we're going to make that shadow a little bit darker. And you can see I kind of go from the corner of my ear in an angle down toward my mouth, but it doesn't meet my mouth all the way down. And I'm going to make that line a little bit darker than I did for my straight makeup. So I do my line and then I use my sponge or my finger and I kind of drag that shadow down to create more of a shadow look when I'm looking straight onto you. Make the darkened line and then drag it down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Do my line down from my ear in a diagonal line kind of down toward my mouth, but not all the way. You stop like basically under about halfway down your eye. You want to make that darker than normal, then you drag it and you can kind of shade it in with your sponge. Don't get touch the top of that line or you'll erase it. You want to grab from right underneath that line and shade it down. So basically what we're doing is we're changing the face of the shape of our face. And we're making our faces a little bit narrower than they would normally be by doing this. Shade and drag down. And you can see I'm doing it on both sides. I'm trying to check to make sure that I kind of have it even. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be darkening in my nasolabial fold. So you're going to smile so you get that kind of crease there on either side of your cheek. And you're going to take your paintbrush in your brown paint. You're going to dip it in and you're going to create a line. Dip it in and create a line. And I'm going to go around my mouth and kind of down the side, wherever that line is created naturally. Then I'm going to grab the top of that line, like I'm doing here with my paintbrush, and I'm going to drag it up and out. Grab the top of the line with your paintbrush and drag it up and out so that you're creating a different shape to your face. Now, again, you want this to be a little darker because we're changing the shape of our face to look older, right? So grab it and drag it. You can smooth out with your finger to kind of blend in a little bit more, but you'll notice that I'm starting to look, the shape of my face is changing, and yours will do the same thing too. Now, I know I'm a little bit older than you, so I already have some of these wrinkles and things like that going on in my face, but you'll be able to do the same thing as well if you're blending and grabbing the paint and pulling it up to create that shadow. Grab, pull, blend at the top so that you don't see brush strokes. And blend. Nasolabial fold. So first we do our cheekbones and then we do our nasolabial folds. We can check by moving our mouth to make sure that when we make a facial expression, it changes. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coloring in my temples. And I want to kind of look like I'm a little bit more sunken in. So I'm going to create sort of a triangle of shadow there. You see that? And then I'm going to kind of blend it in to create a shadow feeling there, as if my temple is a little bit in. Remember, my face is going to be a little bit more angular than it normally is because as I get older, gravity is going to take over. It's going to kind of pull in the shape of my face. So there we go, pulling it down into the face. And you can kind of see head on that I look like my temples are a little bit more sunken in than normal. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my forehead wrinkles and I'm going to raise my eyebrows. to find my major forehead wrinkles. You don't have to do all of them, just a suggestion. And you use your brown on your paintbrush to create those forehead wrinkles. We're going to start here with just a line. This isn't like a blending thing like we did by changing the shape of our face. We're just kind of creating wrinkles across the top. And remember to do that, you're going to raise your eyebrows up to give yourself the appearance of wrinkles. All right. Little bit extra wrinkles on the forehead. You'll notice that my forehead wrinkles, I have more wrinkles on that right side of the face, which is really the left. Well, it is the right side of my face than I do on the left side of my face. So as I'm looking at my face, I'm just kind of checking to see what areas I need to darken and fixing it as I go along. Okay, so now that I've done my wrinkles and I've kind of got them set in, I'm just going to check and make sure that that's all good. I'm going to start to work on under my eye and my nose. So this is exactly the same as the straight makeup, except we're going to make this darker. Notice that my shading is darker, just like I did my cheeks a little bit darker than I did on the straight makeup, because our shadows are going to be greater in our old age makeup. So here I am creating that kind of super dark line down the side of my nose there and shading it in. I'm going to use my finger to kind of blend that down so that it disappears and that it's darkest at the top of the line. And then I blend it away. I'm going to do the other side of my nose. I start in that little pocket of my eye and I work my way down my nose, and I'm going to create that little divot at the end. Grab the paint from the line, the makeup from the line, and I'm going to drag it down. Go along the line and then drag down. And that will naturally start to blend that shadow into the side of my nose. Double check everything, make sure everything's even, and then I'm going to use my finger to kind of take care of any brush strokes. Again, making that shape just a little more noticeable. And kind of narrowing down the nose a little bit. Okay. Next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing my frown lines. So you frown, same thing like we did on the forehead. We're going to frown and we're going to take those lines and we're going to draw them in with our paintbrush. Just stick your brush there into that line and pull it down with your brown. And you'll notice that I kind of smudged this little part, but I'll be fixing that later as I'm going into it. It's okay if you smudge. You can use your finger to kind of help correct that. Now I'm going to look at, I don't necessarily have lines here, but I have like little shadow divots above my eyebrow. I'm not going to create lines that aren't there or wouldn't be there naturally, or it's not going to look natural on stage. Your face is going to move and the lines won't move, and you want them to move with your face. So just kind of taking care of that one little line that I sort of smudged a little bit. All right, frowning to double check. And I'm noticing that I have like little tiny micro lines. I'm going to add an extra one in there off to the side so it looks more realistic. Then I'm going to move on and I'm going to kind of pucker my lips so I can do the lines around my mouth. And I kind of have to, you tighten your lips up like that. And then you can draw in the lines just like you did all the other lines. You'll notice that these are tiny lines and they kind of angle in toward your mouth. You draw the lines and you just touch it with your finger to kind of, so they're not that intense, those lines. Then you're going to do the same thing on the bottom and then underneath your lip where there's that natural shadow under your lip. For your chin, you're going to draw the little upside down smiley face, I guess frowny face, and then you're going to draw, grab that makeup, and you're going to pull it up so you can kind of get that shadow a little bit more. Okay, so I'm explaining now that we've created all the shading, or most of the shading that we're going to do. We're just going to double check and make sure that our shading is good. And I'm kind of narrowing in my nose a little bit more because I thought it seemed a little wide at the top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my under eye area. And I'm going to create kind of a bag under my eye. So you see where your eye naturally has this little spot that's sort of a bag. You can see it on my eye where the shadow is. You're going to make that more accentuated. So darken it with your paintbrush with a line and then kind of smudge it a little bit with your finger so that it creates a nice shape to that eye bag underneath your eye. Okay, it's looking good here. Make the shadow first. And it doesn't have to be even on both sides because, as we get older, our faces age differently. Now we're going to do a little bit of crow's feet out of the corner. Don't go overboard on these, just like you did in the lines around your mouth. You're just going to kind of create like the wrinkles at the end of your eyes that might happen when you smile. Some kids go really overboard with these and then they stand out like wings at the end of your eye. You're not trying to look pretty, like you've got bird wings at the end of your eye. You're trying to create those wrinkles. Okay, so now I'm just going over and I'm touching up the areas where I think might need a little extra darken or shadows. Okay, next step. We've created our shadows. We're going to move on and we're going to create our highlighting. So first I'm going to clean my brush of the brown. And I'm going to kind of clean it by wiping it back and forth on the sponge. You don't have to actually take it over to the sink or clean it with cold cream. But then I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the white. Use the white in your palette. And you're going to come in and you're going to start creating the light part. Now this is a weird part to create a light part, but we're going to kind of create an eye bag and it's going to look like my eye's a little bit puffier. So we're going to add in light where you wouldn't expect it to occur here in this eye bag to make the eye look puffy and not so attractive. Puff out that eye there. You'll see I'm kind of accentuating what's already there. And I'm trying to make it as natural as possible for stage makeup. All right, so then I'm going to go and I'm going to start highlighting where the white areas of my face are. So on the opposite side of the nasolabial fold, I'm going to draw a white line with my brush and I'm going to pull it in toward the lip. So again, accentuating that. Because remember, you're not creating a makeup for the movies or a makeup for your camera or even the computer camera. You're creating a makeup for the stage. So you want to make sure that your makeup is extremely noticeable, which means contrast, dark and light. So I've created that shadow. Now I'm going to accentuate that by creating the light on the other side of the lip. I know it's hard to see right now, I'm doing the same thing on my chin, creating like a little knob at the bottom of my chin underneath where I did the frowny face. Then I'm going to go up where I did my frown lines. And I'm going to create, this kind of helps to blend out the smudgy area that I had there. But I'm going to create where the light hits up there. And look how that really starts to change the shape up there even more. It's no longer a line. It becomes what actually happens to you, which is a fold in the skin. You've got the highlight and the shadow. Okay, so I'm looking for other places. I've checked my nasolabial folds. I've created that. I've done my eye bag, and I'm just double checking to make sure that that's good. And I've done my top frown lines. Now I'm going to come and I'm going to create a line just on the upper edge of that temple shadow, because that's where the light's going to hit me. And I'm going to do my white line. I'm going to drag it down on both sides. White line, drag it down to kind of accentuate where that light's going to hit. Okay. Next step that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a look down my nose, a little highlight line down my nose, center area there. And then I'm going to be looking for accentuating my eyebrows. So I try to take good care of my eyebrows, but as you get older and your sight starts to go, your eyebrows, especially if you're a man, will start to get much more bushy. So I'm darkening my eyebrows and making them a little bit crazier, less well taken care of. Notice with my eyebrow pencil, I'm doing short little strokes, like I'm drawing hairs, not lines, not a full line across, but like tiny little strokes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some gray to my brows because honestly, that's one of the first places that you go gray. So I'm going to put quite a bit of paint on my white paint on my brush, and I'm just going to stroke it across my brows so that some of the hairs that are naturally there catch the white. And all right, so I was saying the white on the brush catches the white and sort of creates a gray to the brows then. Okay, getting down to it, we're going to create white, and on your forehead you're going to put white at the top and go up because that's where the light's going to hit to kind of make those a little bit deeper. You don't have to go all the way across the wrinkles, but you want to kind of show where the light hits. Wherever there is light, there is shadow. Something to think about in your life too. We wouldn't have light without the dark. I feel like I'm quoting some sort of movie. All right. So we've got our light at the top. I'm going to double check and make sure that I'm got all the wrinkles that I want. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do one more thing, maybe two more things. I'm going to darken that line underneath my eye because when I looked at it, it didn't look like enough. And I wanted to make that a little bit more noticeable. And I'm going to get a line like right around where I put that white in. So it looks a little bit more noticeable. I'm going to blend it with my finger, but you'll notice that it's much darker now than it was before because, again, I'm creating makeup for the stage, not makeup for the screen or for a camera. Okay, double checking all my spots and darkening where I need to. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is an optional step for you, which is going to be doing jowls. I'm just blending in a little bit as I go through. Nice, nice. Okay. Okay. So at this point, what I would do is I would use my powder and I would set this makeup so that I don't lose this makeup as I'm working on adding the final details. And we're going to add the final details together. So the first step that we're going to do, don't powder your face because you're going to want to take off your makeup. But the first step that we're going to do is we're going to kind of change the shape of our gels. And I don't think this turned out very well on the camera. Oh, I'm adding lip line. Sorry. So I added a little lip color because I'm a woman. Guys, you would not do this step as an old man, but I am going to mix together the russet, which is the orangey reddish color, and the pink color on my paintbrush to create a lip color for my lips. All right, so that's what I'm doing there. And you'll notice that the next thing that I'm going to be using is that stipple sponge. I'm going to put the stipple sponge into the brown, and I'm just going to kind of pounce it on the brown. And then I'm going to take it and put a little bit in the red too. Not a lot, but I'm going to pounce it on my face. And basically what I'm doing here on my face is I'm creating the appearance of enlarged pores, which you also have to look forward to when you get older, having your pores suddenly be a lot larger. I'm going to do that on my cheeks and on my chin to kind of show that. Guys, this is one of the steps what you can use to create like more of a beard if you want to. And now this part didn't turn out as well because the camera didn't pick it up, but I'm doing a jowl line and creating a little bit of a shadow there on the bottom to kind of change the shape down there. But you'll see that it kind of comes up with my chin, and you'll notice that even more on the picture that I'll also post on Schoology so you can take a look at the picture as well. All right, so going down along the side of my jaw, and then I'm pulling it up a little bit so that it changes the shape of my face. And I'm going to do that on either side. See how that kind of comes up there on the chin? I'm going to accentuate that a little bit more, and I'm going to do that both spots down the side of my jaw, but I'm going to change the shape by pulling it up a little and kind of creating this jowl sort of look. Because as you get older, your face starts to sag, and we're creating that sag a little bit, and we're kind of doing the job of gravity, which on you lucky kids, gravity has not yet done because you're so young, and you haven't had your face start to kind of change the shape like that. Okay. So last checkovers, I'm looking over all the different parts of my face, and I'm giving myself a spot on my face. I'm kind of an old age mole, so that I'm essentially ready to go. You would, if you were acting on the stage, is you would also create some makeup on your neck, especially as a woman. The crepiness of a neck, if you ever look at an old lady's neck, you'll see what I'm talking about. And that kind of goes down. When your face is all done, you're basically ready to go for the stage.